Yep. All right. We are live for episode 8. We're back. We took a week off last week. I think maybe unintentionally, but we're back at it again. We're a hot mess. Everyone out there is watching. Welcome to ElevateBiz live podcast, whatever you want to call it. But I'm excited to be here with my dear friend, Dr. Katie. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
Oh, doing good. Feeling like a hot mess like always, but we're human. So we're figuring this thing out as we do it, right?
Right, exactly. I know it's so funny because when people say how are you, it's like wonderfully chaotic, like just trying to keep all the trains on track. It's not good or bad, it's just what it is.
It's just what it is. I love that. It's so funny. Since we have been kind of out and about more and running into some friends and a lot of end of the year celebrations going on, I'm seeing a lot more people that we're networked with, and they're like, "Oh, how's the podcast going? I love watching it." And I'm like, "Oh, which one was your favorite one?" They're like, "To tell you the truth, I only watch the beginning when you and Dr. Katie are being silly, and then when you guys start getting into the actual content, I usually will just like leave it in the background or whatever it is." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. So you like us just being ridiculous in the beginning before we get into it." So it seems like this is valuable. I don't know.
Right. Well, friends, stay on because we're going to have a really fun conversation today. We were just talking about this right before we jumped on. So stay on, friends. Stay focused.
Yeah, stay on. And then even if it is in the background, please engage with this, because whether you're on the entrepreneur business owner side or you're an entrepreneur and employee, we want to hear both sides of this conversation, because today we're talking about employee motivation and also engagement. So we'd love to have a great conversation in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on this when it comes to this topic around employee motivation, employee engagement, and tackle it from both sides, because who we serve is the business owner, the manager, whoever it is. But we're doing it for the benefit of employees. And there's going to be a lot of you out there, employees, employers, whatever it is. Let's have a cool discussion on this. So, Dr. Katie, you ready to get started and chat?
I am. Employee motivation, one of my favorite topics.
This is your wheelhouse. I'm excited to hear your anecdotal thoughts, but also your scientific statistic thoughts. And I'd love to share my anecdotal thoughts as we get into it as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah. So when you hear what I would consider this very vague term of employee motivation and employee engagement, because as we know, there's many buckets that can fall into and what this means to this person or that person, whatever it is. But just in general, when you hear those things, those vague terms, what hits you? What does that mean to you, from you, the business owner, but also you, the doctorate, the scholar, etc.?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and when I think about motivation, when I did HR full time, we were always talking about, how do you motivate employees? How do you motivate employees? And um through my research and through my work, it was like we need to stop worrying about how to motivate employees and we need to think about how we stop demotivating them. So if you think about it, when someone shows up on day one, they're motivated. They've done everything they need to do to be employed by you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, what are we doing to demotivate them? What is the paper cuts? What's the things that are making it so each day they're less and less motivated to come in? And we talk about this all the time. A ping pong table and a pizza party is not what's going to cure those paper cuts or the big demotivators that you might have.
Yeah, 100%. And we see it a lot. We have friends who work at these places. I see it with our neighboring businesses around mine, where like, yeah, you see the ping pong tables, you see the shuffleboard courts, or shuffleboard tables, courts, weird. You see the beanbag chairs and the beer in the fridge and the coffee on tap and all that kind of stuff. And not saying it throws up a red flag, because I know other organizations that have all those and their people will never leave because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, have the leaders done the work to really get in touch with what it means to be an employee and do that job, but also what it means to be human and do that job as a human who can fully come into that business and be themselves and do the stuff while also hitting the metrics?
Yeah, yeah. And if I can jump on my research soapbox real quick.
Jump up there.
The cool part about doing doctoral research, and I say this all the time, is you research everything that might possibly could have at one time, maybe kind of even possibly touched your research area. I wish that was an exaggeration, but it's not. And so my research area is workplace motivation, employee satisfaction. And so how do we measure motivation and then employee satisfaction? So I say all that to say what I found through my research is employees want three things. They want to feel like they belong. So they don't fit in, like they belong as their authentic true self. They can show up who they are. They don't have to change who they are. They have the resources and tools to do their job. That is training, that is policies and procedures, that is basic job descriptions to do their job. And then the autonomy. They want to be trusted to do their job. Let them do it. And so when we have those three things, people are happier, more loyal, and also more engaged. So yeah, so that's kind of the groundwork of my research, but then also the groundwork of all the work we do, and then the work that we're going to do together with ElevateBiz.
I love that. Where do you see, because I have my own thoughts on this, I'd love to share after you answer. Where do you see the biggest breakdown is with those three?
Oh, I think it depends on the organization. You may have an organization that has really phenomenal, like, that kind of middle stage or middle area where they have job descriptions and they have training and they have all that stuff, but maybe they don't have the strongest belonging culture. And so that's a problem. Or they may have the first two where, you can come and you can belong and you be your authentic true self. We also have the policies and procedures and training in place, but then they allow bad managers. They allow for the micromanagement or, have bad leadership. So, it's kind of this, whole wheel. You got to have all three.
Yeah.
And depending on the organization, I mean, I just think of the clients that we work with and have worked with and clients that we've bid out. Some have glaring gaps in all three, but a lot of times they're good in two and just need a little help with the third piece.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, if you're out there watching, I see we have a couple people watching live right now. Let us know your thoughts, not your current job, but maybe the best job you've been in or another job that was a disaster. We'd love to see that, to hear those stories. I've seen that from both sides. When I was an employee, that was one of the biggest things that drove me to want to be an entrepreneur in the very first place. Is I grew up just in life feeling like I didn't belong, and I was searching for that piece to make sure that I did belong. But when I started working, it didn't help. I was going into work environments that not only didn't make me feel like belong who I was, but was doing a lot of stuff that was pretty toxic. And we hear that word a lot, and it can mean a lot of things. And so that kind of started my feeling of wanting to be an entrepreneur so I could change that, so I could create ecosystems and places where people always felt like they belonged. And so we do that at our stores. And there's been a little bit of a bottleneck, I could say, in a couple ways, because while I know we excel in making sure people belong, sometimes because we're very aggressive in our growth, sometimes we forget to give people all of the tools to do their job based off what that new thing may be, And so we've really had to hone that and figure that out. So I 100% agree on those things. And the next one is like, once you train them, get out of their way and let them do the thing, lead them, coach them, mentor them, but let them do the job without micromanaging around them.
Yeah. And I think so often, especially as entrepreneurs, this is our baby. Our organization, our company is what we've created is our babies. And so there's that tendency to kind of hover or to, try to control everything. And so, we can have the first two beautifully, but then that autonomy piece can really be a struggle. And no one expects anyone to be perfect in all areas. Like, we make mistakes. We are human. We're not perfect. But constantly working on those things, I think, are so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay. So do you say the importance is worrying about not demotivating them, do you still
Mhm.
see an area where the motivation piece is important? Let's say they figure out how to not demotivate. Is there an area of importance of the motivation piece for those employees to get more out, to get them more buy-in, more leaning forward? What does that look like in your teachings and training?
Yeah, when I think about, that it's really leadership and inspiring, and you can throw motivation in there. Like when we inspire our people, when we are good leaders, when we, do what we say we're going to do and own up to things that we don't do right, I think we inspire people and thus motivates them to continue to go and push and to move forward. But to have a whole like motivation campaign. I've worked with organizations before where it's like, we're gonna we're gonna really put all our energy behind, this motivating our people. It's like, yeah, but it's so funny because Emma and Jenna will be really proud that I admit this. They've gotten me on TikTok.
Yeah,
Um,
let's go. The doctor's in.
And I made a video today. I'm actually going to post on LinkedIn because the interactions I'm getting on both TikTok and Instagram is really hilarious. But it's not about the pizza party. And so I tell people all the time, like, you can't treat people horribly and then give them pizza and think that everything's
We're
going to be
good,
better.
right?
And we see that where it's like, okay, we have this campaign of motivation, but we're still not changing how we're treating people.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, that's so good. Um,
Yeah.
that was so good. I had something in my mind and I literally just forgot it. I was
Yeah.
like,
So Adam just shared, if an employee's motivation can't be met, which legit can happen, you are so correct, Adam. At least commit to a plan on how or when you can. Ambiguity is a motivation killer. Yes, yes. And we've got to ask our people, what is demotivating you? Like my favorite question to ask people is, what are your biggest frustrations? Because it could be big, it could be small. And then, of course, Emma has to have my back. I don't know that TikTok loves me, but we're just doing it anyways.
loves the doc. TikTok loves the doc. One of the things I think of when it comes to this as well, and I see this over and over, it's kind of around the micromanaging piece and whatnot. I see it really when someone's a solopreneur and tries to hire their first person, or they have a couple or like a sizable team they try to grow, but grow in the way where they themselves have to elevate and just delegate and empower to their
Yeah.
teams. That process is so challenging.
Yeah.
It is wildly hard to make that step from you being the one that's pulling the strings and all of it to elevating yourself. And then now you're empowering your people to do those things that you once did. The old adage that no one's going to care about your business as much as you do. I think that's true, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you're going to do that specific thing better than someone else is
Right.
going to do, especially if you're getting out of hiring generalists and more into hiring a specialist. You're hiring them to do better than you are
Right.
when it comes to that. And so one of the
Yeah.
things I think of is when you're trying to build something out, I think one of the best ways to motivate them, you could say, but engage them is get their 2 cents on it. I don't
Yeah.
know how many times I've worked somewhere or early in my career, I did this where I spend all night or a couple days coming up with this amazing business plan and this amazing vision for what we're going to accomplish in the next year. This happens a lot this time of year because people are doing
Mhm.
strategic planning and they make this perfectly good document in Canva and they present it to the team and say, here's our mission, here's our vision, here's what we're going to accomplish. And they're like, okay, you
Yeah.
have to allow your team to be a part of it, to
Yeah.
buy into it, to build the thing with you. That's going to
Yeah.
make them feel like they're a bigger part of what you're doing there. And yeah, buy-in and engagement is going to be through the roof if you do that.
Yeah. It's so interesting you say that. I just have like 80 examples running through my head because um I used to work for a company where every year they would have a word of the year.
Mm,
And what was so funny was I don't know who came up with the word of the year. I think it was the head person in charge. I don't even want to call him leader, the head boss. Um, but so they would always have that. And then the other thing, so they'd have a word and you kind of see it sprinkled around, but then there was like nothing after that. And been talking to someone and they're like, hey, we need to, do some values and strategic planning work. And it's like, you have to involve your people. Like if you just, and Emma says, yes, please ask your people what they think. I can say words all the time, but if people don't have input, if people aren't inspired by those words, it's just a poster on a wall or it's
Yep.
just a word of the year. Like we have to really be able to live and feel those words.
Yep. Yep. 100%. And man, this piece is so important too. I will tell you for myself and some of my clients, when we really start doing this the right way and I get them to shift their mindset from, hey, yes, you have a vision for it. But I always say when you're looking at this, there is the company's vision, the thing that we're trying to achieve, the pie in the sky thing that we're trying to do, the mission, the vision, what we're going to impart on the world, and all those kinds of things. But I say, if you only have one vision for your business, you're failing in that regard
Yeah.
because there's one thing you may want to accomplish as a business, but every individual person that's in the inside of that has their own mission, has their own vision,
Mhm.
has their own thing they want to get out of that as well. And so if you're telling them, here's how you feel, here's how you think, here's what we're going to achieve, and you don't allow space for them to say, while I'm trying to achieve this, I'm trying to level up my leadership. I'm trying to make a little bit more money so we can buy a house. I'm trying to gain a little more PTO so I can go
Yeah.
visit my parents who are across the country. Those things really matter. And if you give those simple things to people, again, their
Yeah.
buy-in skyrockets because of that. I think it's incredibly important when it comes to that. Adam says
Yeah.
100% agree. A strategic plan or mission slash vision should never be a complete surprise to the organization. And oh my gosh, does this happen often? And
Yeah.
if I can kind of spin this in the way for business owners as well, you know, part of ElevateBiz, Dr. Katie and I are coming together to take her soft skills teaching and my hard skills business development teaching and slam them together to help on both sides of the equation when it comes to
Mhm.
business development. And one thing that I see for business owners that I think really makes sense for the business owner when you're about to start a new business, or my startup founders out there, we get into this echo chamber in this silo where we're only talking to the co-founders about what we're trying to build, and we're not
Yeah.
allowing the future customer to give their input on exactly what you're trying to build. And so then you release it and no one buys, or they buy once and they're like, oh, this isn't for us. And you're like
Yeah.
confused, like, isn't everyone buying? I'm like, you got no input on them for them to say, yes, we like it. Yes, we want it. Or almost there, but did you think about this? Because this would serve me better. That's really important to make it a communal experience.
Yeah, yeah, and I just think, when we think about Elevate Biz and the work that we're gonna be having people do, it's really those first 3 or 4 sessions, like, who are you? What are your values? What is your mission? What is your vision? And I can just picture Adam just like, "Yes, Isaac, preach, preach." Um,
Love
but
him.
we work also like once you have that mission and vision, what's your rallying cry? And your rallying cry kind of changes. So shout out, everyone knows I love Patrick Lencioni, but it's like, what are we working on right now? What's our big rallying cry? And then how are we doing that? What does that process look like? And for whether it be new businesses or businesses that are working to grow, you gotta know what your rallying cry is. And then to your point, like feedback. Are we selling what people want? Because if we're just doing what we enjoy doing, then it's a hobby. And if we don't have customers, if we don't have clients, if we don't have people that are going to buy it, then what are we doing? We're going to fail. And so we got to make sure that we're really paying attention to that. And that's what really we're going to challenge people to do, is really take that critical look at themselves.
Absolutely. So good. While I was doing this, it did not save for me, so I'll do it here in a bit. Um, there's two books when we're talking about this subject that were revolutionary for me on me becoming a better leader, more empathetic, but putting myself in the scenario of the employee, we always forget how it was to be an employee. Like
Yes.
we're an employee and we're like, I hate this about what my boss does. I love this about what my boss does, etc. And we build this repertoire, this resume of things that we like and don't like. And then we become the entrepreneur or the entrepreneur. And then we forget all that. We're like, I'm a manager now. I'm going to treat these people just like I see on TV, or how my boss treated me, forgetting that I didn't like that. So the two books that I recommend that transformed everything for me, the first one is The Great Game of Business. And so I love this because the whole point of the book is you share pretty much everything with your team. Everything that you're staying up late or working up early, strategizing, and the profit and loss, and it's low, we're trying to get here, and here's what I'm trying to accomplish. If you open those plans up to your team and let them in on it and allow them to have an input on it, and allow them to understand, hey, we're really doing well, or hey, we're really struggling, and here's why, they want to help, and they bring a
Yeah.
lot of really, really good ideas. So that's the first book, The Great Game of Business. The second one is The Dream Manager. And Dream Manager is something that is kind of similar in a way to Great Game of Business, but it's an amazing story. I won't ruin it. Essentially, this company that was struggling, but was still a big company, hired this person to be a dream manager. And their sole focus was to meet with the individual employees and see what their dream was, see what they wanted out of life, see what they wanted out of work, etc. And their job was to make that happen for them. And the crazy thing is, you would think like, make more money, but like almost no one said that. It was, hey, I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to have a baby soon. I want to make sure that I'm better insured. You know, hey, again, I want to travel across the country to see my friends or my family, so I want more PTO. Like, hey, whatever, 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 whatever. And it puts it into perspective and reminds you, like, we are leaders, but we're really working for our team when it
Yeah.
comes to this. And that shift makes you a better leader instantly, because you become a servant leader overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so important too, because if you think about it, your company is your dream. And I say to Emma and Jenna all the time, like they believe in my dream. They're supporting my dream. But for me to think, oh, Emma and Jenna wake up every morning are like, my dream is to just do whatever Katie does. That's not their dream. Like if you talk to them, their dreams are well, I think Jenna is living her dream right now in Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
Emma's dream of, being a rock star, she is a rock star. And so yes, they enjoy working with me and working for me. And more importantly, I think they really, really enjoy working with our clients. But if I am not showing up, if I am not supporting them, if I'm not, there for their dreams, if I find their dreams threatening to me, they're not going to continue to work and give me everything they have.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that we know who our people are, know, what they need. And, even I do this for a living all day, every day, and I still drop the ball. We tell people all the time, you need to communicate, you need to do this, you need to do that. I still, in the chaos of life, am not perfect and don't always do a good job.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely happens to all of us, and the bounce back is incredibly important. So when it does happen to you, do you have an ego to double down on what you did wrong, or are you going to come back to them and say, hey, I'm sorry, I failed in that regard? If you haven't done that before, you don't know how much trust that builds between you and your team whenever you are human and make a mistake and are able to come back to your team and say, I screwed up there.
Yeah.
Like, I almost lost one of the most important people in my organization. I really screwed up this summer. The only reason why the relationship retained and also I was able to win her back was first because I humbled myself and said,
Yeah.
that's on me. I screwed up. I screwed up. That was on me. If I would have thrown her more money and didn't do that, she'd be like,
Yeah.
the money doesn't matter. I don't trust you. I don't want to work with you. But
Yeah.
we were able to figure that out. So it's really, really great when it comes to that. And, you know, we love sitting here on podcasts and talking, but we are releasing a program soon. February 7th, ElevateBiz, the first cohort, does launch, and it's a 20-week program. 10 of those are 10 teaching sessions, and the sixth session is around this entire concept of people, personnel, leadership, motivation, engagement, buy-in, how to use these resources and value them, these humans here, to get you where you want to go with the mission, and do it in a way where you're loving on them, but you guys are still reaching your financial goals as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell people all the time, when we pour into our people, when we give them the three things, and it's self-determination theory is the motivation theory that I love so much. And then I have tweaked it for the corporate world because I had not in my research found it in the corporate world. So I tweaked it for the corporate world. So when we give people that belonging, give them the tools and resources and the autonomy, my research and other people's research shows you're going to make more money. They are going to be happier. They are going to be more productive, more engaged. So it's worth it to really lean into your people because they will show up for you when you do it correctly.
Yep. You nailed it. Adam said dream manager is an amazing approach and mindset. Love it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. You show up for your people, they are going to show up for you. The reciprocity is
Yep.
just a universal law. It happens naturally without you even knowing what's going on. So
Yeah.
it's so amazing. Yeah. I love this. This is incredibly important. We can't get where we want to go alone. So we have to figure this thing out as leaders, because at the end of the day, we're trying to make a positive impact on this world.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't believe that one person can save the world. I think it always takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to, be a successful sports team. It takes a village to have a successful business, or at least one that's going to last a very long time and grow very large to be able to have impact. And so I know you and I are incredibly passionate about this because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're very, very lucky to have people around us that will love us and care for us and give us grace and give us everything they have. So we're very lucky to have that and to, work really hard to maintain it.
Yeah, especially having spouses starts there. Having children also starts there, because these principles work with your family as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they will humble you. I know you're on the other end of it. I have a 19, 21-year-old and they will tell you when they're not impressed, but I will tell you they will also, as they get older, really tell you when they are impressed.
Yeah.
And there is no check in the world that can replace when your 21-year-old says, wow, that was really cool. I'm really impressed with you. It's like, oh,
Well, that feels good.
done. Retire.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. 21 and 19. So yeah, your kids are about the same age apart as ours, with a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old. So I'm excited to be able to hear those things. But Quinn's trying to walk, and Sage is running and gunning and sassy. Oh my gosh.
It's so funny because I think we should do a poll. How many girls have been called sassy in their life? It's funny. I laugh because Abby, one of Abby's teachers in second and third grade always called her sassy. And it's one of those things where, girls, we're just taking control of things. We just want you to know where you need to be and what you need to do.
Yeah, Sage will tell you exactly where you need to be and exactly where you need to go. And I'm so excited that independence that she has, to be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur myself, my parents being entrepreneurial, to be able to have those conversations with her, to continue to think freely and not like tamp that down. Again, that's the same principle that goes into running a business, owning a business, etc. with employees. Is,
Yeah.
gosh, employees and kids and teammates on
Yeah.
the sports teams, they have so many great ideas. I say it all the time, and I'll shout it from the top of the World War I museum. Like, some of the best things we do at Yogurtini did not come from me. It came from other individuals who had a really good idea. And that's the first thing we tell people when we hire them is, hey, you're fresh here. You have a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
We've been seeing this for a while, so we can overlook, something that is so dang obvious, but you're like, well, why do you do it that way? What if we did it this way?
Yeah.
And this happens to us every time we have a new hire. We're like, how did we not think of that? We've been doing this for 6 or 7 years. And I'm excited because I imagine kids are like that as well. They're like, see things so from an obvious standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because Adam says strong will is a common term in our house, a blessing and a curse. When Abby was growing up, it was kind of how do we not break you? How do we keep you in the guardrails? How do we keep you safe and going in that direction? And what I love about the skills that we've learned and the skills that we're going to be teaching in Elevate Biz is it doesn't matter where you are. Like the work that Catalyst does, it doesn't matter where you are in life, whether you're 14, 45, or 70, you got to understand emotional intelligence. You got to understand interpersonal skills. You've got to understand the things that we're going to talk about and then to intermingle them with the hard skills that you have established is so important. And I think sometimes we think it's one or the other, but it's really when we're running a business and running a house, quite frankly, it's both.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I know we're very excited to get launched on ElevateBiz. It's going to be so fun. It's right around the corner, 45 to 60 or so days until we get going. If anyone out there has questions on what exactly we're doing, you can go to elevatebizkc.com. It's going to have most of the information there. If you want more information, just scroll down, fill out the form. It'll go to Jenna. Jenna will send it to one of us. We'll get a hold of you. We'll hop on Zoom. We'll just have some conversations with you and answer your questions and go from there. But the skinny of it is, it's a 20-week business development program that also helps you, thanks to Dr. Katie and her team, with your leadership, with your resiliency, with your imposter syndrome. And I'm simplifying everything that she does. She has 24 plus years of skill set in all of those things around soft skills. And I'm incredibly excited because we see a lot of programs, including mine historically, that have been so like, do this and you'll get this result. Do this and you'll get that result. And that's amazing. But if we don't fix what's going on between our ears and what's going on in our head, we can be paralyzed, know exactly what to do, but not be able to move and do the thing. So I'm excited about this partnership with you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. These are so much fun. We could talk for hours about all of this stuff. And we're gonna start in February 7th.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on this topic or just anything in general? Anything fun going on in your world?
Fun. Oh, just trying to get ready for the holidays. I was going to look and see. I know we've got next week already scheduled. So next week we're going to be on here on the 21st. And we're going to talk about building a profitable sales funnel. So how do we get everyone lined up so we can build that sales funnel, which is so important.
Yeah. And again, the beautiful thing, this was definitely more heavily aligned in your wheelhouse. Next week is my wheelhouse. That's my favorite thing. If I could just name my business sales funnel, I would definitely do that. We live in that. All the conversation we have is right there. And it's one of the most important pieces of it, because dang, if entrepreneurs aren't wildly passionate and creative around their product and their service, but man, do we lack in taking the amazing thing we do and being able to show people that and say, hey, see this thing that I do that's awesome? You should purchase this, which is marketing, and then actually converting them to the sale. And there's a lot more there. So if you're interested, please join us next Thursday as we are live again on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook for that.
All over. Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Well, great to be with you. Thank you, Adam. I know there's other people out there, but thank you, Adam, for all of your engagement and conversation here. These are so much fun. I just really enjoy them.
Yeah. And it's always good seeing you. Also, thanks for lunch last week. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite places. McLean's. We love you.
So good. Well, thanks everyone out there that's watching and that will watch. We have more people who watch in the future. So thank you guys. We appreciate you. You have questions, reach out to us. If not, we'll see you next Thursday for episode 9 of the Elevate Biz podcast /live. Have a good day, y'all.